Hi, we're going to do section 11.6. Section 11.6, and we're looking at problem Q2, where we have to find the inverse function there, right? So if f of x equals, so let me come over here. If f of x equals x minus 3, I believe it is, find the inverse the inverse of f evaluated at 5, x equals 5. All right. Well, first let's find the inverse function. So I think it's better to find the inverse function, or the inverse of f. The way to think about it is the inverse of f of x. When you take the inverse of the function, you get x back again like that, okay? So to find the inverse of a function, what I like to do is I like to set it equal to y. So y equals x minus 3. Because that's what we do with the output of a function. We plot it on the y-axis, and so we can do that. And so now we'll just solve for x. We'll say y plus 3 equals x. And so now we have the inverse function, actually. That's it. The inverse of subtracting 3 is adding 3. All right? So now so the inverse of x is going to equal, we'll just replace this x and this y, okay? We'll let to get the inverse function, we'll replace the x with a y, and we'll replace the y with an x, like that. So do you see the inverse function is going to equal, the output of the inverse function is going to equal x plus 3. That's the inverse of subtracting 3 is adding 3. All right, so now the inverse function evaluated at 5 is going to equal 5 plus 3, or 8. I ought to check that that's the right answer. I'm pretty sure it's the right answer. If it's not, I'll get back to you on that. I will redo this video, but I'm pretty sure that is. Just a quick note too, though, to just show you. Can I do this? Like, with functions, I don't know if you remember, but the inverse is x plus 3. So let me just show you something, just to verify here. Remember, f of x is x minus 3, and the inverse of x is going to be x plus 3, right? We decided that. So the inverse of f of x, all right, is going to equal the inverse of x minus 3. Now we put that x minus 3 in the inverse function. See, we put it in here, and we're going to get x plus 3, excuse me, not x plus 3, we're going to get x minus 3. That's what this is saying. Take x minus 3, put it in the inverse function. And the inverse function is saying take whatever you have in the parenthesis here, whatever expression you have in there, and add 3. So the expression I have in the parenthesis is x minus 3. That's what I have in the parenthesis, right? And so then I'm going to add 3 to that. See, I'm going to add 3, and I'm going to get x. So this is just to show you that you know what happens if you take the sine inverse of the sine of x. It's going to give you x back again, right? That's all we're doing here. The inverse of f of x is x. All right, so hopefully all that makes sense.